Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best brawlers to max out within this season. Only a couple of weeks left, but a lot of these should be pretty good, granted that they're not actually nerfed within the next set of balance changes. So before we jump into it, make sure you're using a credit code. That'd be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's hop into it. Okay, so the first brawler should be looking to max out within this season, and then the possibility of just being better with the next meta as well has to be Pocos. So we already know there's a lot of talk of tanks getting some better features to help them in the meta. So Poco is just going to be even better paired with those tanks. But not only that, he's actually starting to make, well, not really a comeback, but he's just even better in the meta as the weeks go on. He's being used pretty much everywhere right now as a mid, or just to help yourself with like a Grey, for example. It's just not a lot really stopping a Poco. It's so easy to get value with him pretty much in every single mode, really. He's really strong. Of course, he's got two pretty useful gadgets, and both star powers are really useful as well. Screeching Solo can turn Poco into an assassin, and I don't feel like anytime soon Poco's going to receive a nerf, so it's pretty safe bet to put a lot of your power points and resources into Poco. He's always going to be at the top of the meta. So next up on the list, we have Bonnie. So one brawler which has always been pretty underrated within the past few months of Brawl Stars, but overall I feel like Bonnie again is pretty safe in terms of I don't think she'll be getting any nerfs. You know, she's not really overpowered right now. She's definitely underrated and in the top 20. So for me, she's definitely a brawler which a lot of people have been sleeping on for a little bit. She's definitely really strong. So the good thing about Bonnie is that she's again usable pretty much everywhere. She's particularly strong in game modes like Knockout, but just in general literally everywhere. In Heist as well, she's a really underrated pick. She can easily get a lot of damage, and the good thing about it as well is all gears are pretty usable on her. Literally every single one I'd recommend using on Bonnie. So for me, she's pretty safe, and I feel like if anything, she's going to get even stronger within the meta because a lot of her counters are probably going to get nerfed, and therefore she's going to be even stronger within the next season. So next up on the best brawlers to max out, of course we have a Grey. So not only is he one of the best brawlers within the game, I still feel like even if he was to receive a nerf, he'll still be pretty strong. His teleport mechanic is really OP, and I feel like he just synergizes with every single brawler. So whether he gets a substantial nerf, I still feel like it's pretty valuable to actually get a lot of resources into him within this season. So as I mentioned, he's just good literally everywhere. It only takes 4 shots to get his super, and it's just so easy to cycle over and over again. He's so hard to deal with, especially in game modes like Knockout or just everyone. Like, he's a brawler like Max and Jean in a way where he synergizes with every single brawler in the game, but specifically those more aggressive brawlers, because you can't really, well, you don't really have enough time to deal with, I know, for example, like a Jackie with a super in your face. You can't deal with that with the instant teleportation. So for me, Grey is a must in terms of having to power them up. So moving into the next brawler, which I definitely recommend leveling up, we have Stu. So Stu has always been in the forefront of the meta, always in and around the top 20s, super versatile, and in terms of power league and whatever else, you can literally use him everywhere. Good Stu can actually win pretty much every single matchup. He's good against everything, and also he's got 2 pretty decent star powers. You know, you can definitely still switch to zero drag if it's a certain matchup you know you're going to win, for example like a Rico matchup, but I guess they're one of the best star powers in the game, and he has 2 really good gadgets as well, so you can't really go wrong with Stu. Also, you know, all of their gears are pretty good with him. He doesn't really get the most value out of really any of them. They're just pretty decent with him, but overall I think Stu is a brawler which isn't going to be touched for a long time. Again, he isn't like overpowered. There isn't anything glaringly obvious that he'll get a nerf, so it's pretty safe to power up with Stu. He's just good everywhere. So now moving on to the next brawler, we have Jean. So pretty obvious, Jean, another super versatile brawler. He's not like the most OP brawler in the meta right now. It's just a really good synergy brawler, and really good players can make use of the vision gear and also the star power, just being able to help your teammates push up with that constant healing. And then the super, of course, can be really game changing, especially in game modes like Brawl and Gem Grab, where a pull can literally win you the game. But overall, Jean's just super. I won't even say he's really difficult to play right now. I feel like it's actually pretty easy to play within this meta, especially on those grassier maps. All you need to do is just keep track of the opponents, constantly chip them, and then you and your teammates are going to be able to get the kill with him. But yeah, Jean literally usable everywhere except for Hot Zone and Heist, and he's just so valuable within this meta. So next up, we're moving into probably the best tank in the game right now. We have Ash. So Ash, he's only recently became meta, well, within the last set of balance changes, because other brawlers around him received, well, his counters received big nerfs, like Gale, for example. Otis received a little bit of a nerf. You know what I mean with Ash. So it's just made him even stronger, and in terms of a last pick, he can just be so dominant, and a good Ash can literally win every single matchup. So I feel like Ash is definitely probably want to be maxing out, and not only that, I just feel like they're really reluctant to nerf Ash. Like, he's always been consistently really strong. Like, a good Ash can be so dominant in gem grab and Brawl in particular. In this meta, he's pretty good everywhere, but you get what I mean. Like, he's always pretty prevalent within the meta, and I don't feel like, even though I want him to be nerfed, I don't think anytime soon he's going to be nerfed. If anything, tanks are going to be even stronger with the next update, so Ash is definitely a safe brawler to max out. In the right hands, he can absolutely dominate. The next up on the brawlers you definitely want to max out, we have Sam. So Sam not only does have a really good kit in terms of his star power and the gadget, just overall Sam in the meta is so incredibly strong right now. He's definitely that carry brawler and a power pick in the power league right now. If the enemies don't have any sort of tank counter or a couple, a good Sam's just going to have his way completely. His speed boost is just absolutely insane. And again, just like Ash, I want a nerf with these brawlers, but I just feel like as time goes on, I just don't think they're going to receive any nerf. And if they do, I don't think it's really going to impact them too much, because I feel like it's going to be something that makes tanks even stronger. So yeah, Sam is definitely a safe brawler to max out, although sometimes it can be a little bit hard to play. Like me myself, I'm not the best Sam. I'm pretty awful at it. I feel like if you can get the grasp of his main mechanics, he's just going to be so dominant. So maxing him out is definitely a good bet to have. The next up in terms of the best brawlers to max out in this meta, we have Buzz. So again, another tank, just like Sam and Ash. The good thing about Buzz is, again, you pretty much know that they're not going to receive any types of nerfs. Buzz has been the most balanced brawler since released. I think he received one buff, and I think that was a small HP buff. Other than that, he's not been touched whatsoever, and I still feel like he's such a balanced brawler, but at the same time, a strong brawler. And I don't think he's going to receive any nerf anytime soon. And again, just like Sam and Ash, he's a really strong power pick and a carry brawler. If you're good at Buzz, you can absolutely pop off, and you definitely need these types of brawlers in Power League, especially if you've got some bad randoms. You need to be picking these types of carry brawlers. So Buzz, again, pretty much strong everywhere, except for really open maps. Still, he's pretty good there, because that's where he has the best matchups against those brawlers that are pretty long range. He's just going to be able to get easy kills with them with his hooks. So overall, Buzz just such a fantastic brawler to max out right now. So next up on the best brawlers to max out, we have Otis. There's no surprises here whatsoever. Otis is just such a super strong brawler. He's always reliable, and he's good literally everywhere. So it would feel pretty wrong not to put him on this list, even though it's pretty boring. Everyone already knows it already. But the main reason why Otis has to be maxed out right now is he can deal with everything. He can deal with tanks, he can deal with long range, and he's always that brawler that you can rely on every single game mode and map. So Otis is a must max. And lastly, for the best brawlers to max out, we have Spike. So Spike is by no means like an OP brawler within the meta. So again, another safe brawler to max out in my opinion, but I think he's pretty strong. He's a pretty reliable brawler across the board, and an easy brawler to pick up. He's got a pretty easy star power to use. His new mythic gear is really strong. Vision gear is really strong with Spike, and overall he's just good against everything. His gadget can really help against those single shot brawlers. And again, you've seen more of Spike time and time again right now. I think the only game modes you won't really pick him in are like Knockout and Bounty, but overall he's just super strong against everything. He's a really good counter pick to a lot of the top brawlers, so I think it's definitely a must max out right now. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. So let me know who you would max out in the meta right now, because you've got to be a little bit conscious of who is going to probably receive a nerf, right? So you know, there's a few obvious brawlers which I think are definitely going to get a nerf. Maybe like Penny, for example. She's been at the top for such a long time. B, she's been at the top for such a long time. So probably avoid putting your resources into those types of brawlers yet. But I think most of these are pretty safe. Trying to think of a few more off the top of my head. Maybe Ruffs is really strong overall, and I don't think he'll receive any nerfs. Same with Janet maybe as well. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.